21 behind 47-50 for Lou Williams. 50 points on 27 shots. What did Steve Kerr tell us? Lou Williams is going to go up for 50 tonight.
What's up, YouTube? It's the one and only legend of winning, aka Low, and I'm back with another video. So over the last 10, 15, going on 20 games now, I'm not going to lie, Lou Williams has been vastly impressive. For those out there who have missed me on Twitter, especially on my second channel, I recently updated my top 50 list in the NBA, and a lot of people were upset, or some people at least were upset, that Lou Williams was ahead of other players. However, I don't really think a lot of people are paying attention, and I somewhat understand. I have been sleeping on the Clippers myself, especially since Blake Griffin has been in and out of the lineup due to injuries, but Lou Williams, along with the cast of other players who have stepped up their game on the organization, have definitely stayed afloat in the absence of their star power forward, and as of right now, they're actually knocking on the door to making the playoffs. Now, how have they done this? Obviously, execution is always key, great defense from DeAndre Jordan. However, let's not overlook the contributions of Lou Williams coming off the bench. And the contributions of Lou Williams has been so great that I've actually contemplated and had this conversation with numerous people. Is Lou Williams having the greatest six-man year we've ever seen, at least in the existence of the Six Man of the Year award? And a lot of people have definitely thought about it, and this last week of basketball has definitely cemented that argument to be very realistic. And so what I decided to do is take the time out, look throughout NBA history, and figure out where Lou Williams is starting to rank amongst other great players who came off the bench. But before we do that, let's take the time out and figure out what exactly Lou Williams is doing so far this season. So Lou Williams so far this year is averaging 23 points, giving around 5 assists, 2 rebounds, nearly a steal on great shooting splits. Shooting 45% from the field, over 41% from behind the arc, and shooting 90% from the free throw line. Lou Williams offensively has been remarkable this season. And when I say offensively, I'm not just speaking of his scoring prowess, but also his ability to orchestrate the offense. Because since he's been on this team, they've definitely suffered a lot of injuries at the point guard position, and they haven't really had any sustainability when it comes to their backcourt. Obviously, Patrick Beverley, Austin Rivers, the list goes on. And so now that Lou Williams has had to step in at very pivotal moments of this season, it's vastly impressive to see what he's been able to do, especially over the last 15 to 20 games, in which he has been even more remarkable statistically, nearly averaging 30 points. Again, shooting splits are just remarkable. So Lou Williams this year, ridiculous on the offensive end. Defensively, that's a whole nother subject. However, when it comes to Six Man of the Year award winners, or at least the role of a Six Man of the Year candidate, it's a player that really isn't expected to dominate the game in multiple areas. Just someone to come off the bench, be an immediate spark plug, and be able to sustain some level of consistency while the starters are on the bench. And Lou Williams has not only done that, but obviously he has catapulted not only his career in this year that he's having as an individual, but also the Clippers to a point where, again, they're knocking on the playoff berth and taking out the New Orleans Pelicans out of that race. Now, how exactly does that compare and stack up to other Six Man of the Year award winners? Lou Williams is arguably, and I would go out on a limb and say he is having the greatest scoring performance we've ever seen from a player come off the bench. Now, many people may make different arguments, and I did a little research here. As of right now, averaging 23.1 points is the most points we've ever seen average from a player who won the Six Man of the Year award. Now, obviously, the league has changed, and so his true shooting percentages and his effective field goal percentages is definitely going to be much higher compared to everyone else, because he's shooting threes at such an alarming rate, attempting 7 threes per game while converting 41% of those. So obviously his efficiency is going to be much better than everyone else. And again, he's shooting 90% from the free throw line. So in that aspect, scoring wise, you can make a very, very valid argument that Lou Williams is by far the greatest scorer that the NBA has seen coming off the bench. Also, when it comes to Lou Williams, his ability to initiate offense, facilitate, his assist numbers have definitely gone up. When you compare that to other all-time great players who came off the bench, that is also an outlier. Like I stated before, majority of players who come off the bench are not really expected to do much. But when it comes to Lou Williams and a handful of others, such as Darrell Armstrong, Aaron McKie, and also Manu Ginobili, players who've averaged somewhere around 4 assists or more while coming off the bench. Again, averaging 5 assists while being a 6-man is an outlier, so that too we can give to Lou Williams. However, there is one player that I definitely don't believe that Lou Williams can outperform when it comes to being a great 6-man, and that is Kevin McHale. Many people have stated multiple times before that Kevin McHale was just a starter masquerading as a bench player in the early stages of his career, especially in the early 80s when the Boston Celtics still had Cedric Maxwell on the court playing the small forward position while Larry Bird was playing the power forward position. And as time continued to progress, Cedric Maxwell eventually left the organization, Larry Bird moved to the 3, and Kevin McHale moved into the starting lineup very easily. And that is something that I can definitely say about Lou Williams. I don't necessarily know how he would perform consistently against other starters, so that's going to be very interesting. However, Kevin McHale, his impact on the floor not only was great offensively, but also was great on the defensive end as well. Kevin McHale won the 6-Man of the Year award twice, in the 84 and then in the 85 season. The season prior to the 84 year, he actually was an all defensive team selection, despite the fact that even in the 83 season, he was coming off the bench. And then after his second award, Kevin McHale was yet again selected to make an all defensive team in the 1986 season. However, I can say this though about Kevin McHale, unlike Lou Williams this year, Kevin McHale was never viewed as the best player on the team. It was obviously Larry Bird throughout their entire time together on the roster. So unlike Kevin McHale, Lou Williams has definitely been the more dominant presence on the floor. His game has definitely led into a lot more wins, despite the fact that players such as Patrick Beverley and Blake Griffin has missed a substantial amount of games. Over the past 15 games Lou Williams has played, they've still won 10 of those 15. And Lou Williams has had phenomenal performances when it comes to his scoring output. Statistically, we're talking about a player who already has 10 games in which he has scored 30 plus points while shooting 45% from the field. So when it comes to scoring, I don't even believe it's close. We're talking about a player who is statistically putting up scoring numbers that are comparable of starters, comparable to all-star players, comparable to players who will go on to be selected to make an All-NBA team. Now, the rest of his impact on the game should be in question. However, if we're going to keep him to the standard of a 6-Man of the Year candidate, the only other player throughout NBA history who could compete with the year that Lou Williams is having so far this year, it is Kevin McHale, and that's really it. So Lou Williams having a phenomenal season so far. He's definitely been able to keep up whatever the Clippers needed out of him. Hopefully Doc Rivers, keep him on the bench, because I do want to see him win the 6-Man of the Year award. I know that's a little selfish of me, and it is a little bit silly. However, I do believe that the only way that many people will remember this season from Lou Williams is if he is acknowledged with that award. And so hopefully he does receive it, because it definitely seems as if there's no one else that's even near in the conversation of winning that award so far this year. But please let me know what you think about the Los Angeles Clippers, Lou Williams, his stake in NBA history so far, because he's definitely having a historic season when it comes to 6-Man of the Year candidates or players who play that role of the 6-Man. And also let me know what you believe about the Clippers possibly making the playoffs, despite the fact that Blake Griffin has missed a substantial amount of games. And if you are Pelicans fans, trust me, that video is coming up very, very soon. But I'll see you all next time. Peace.